High frequencies, everyone. Whew. My body was extra tired during full moon last night. We're still in the full moon energy, of course, but the night today's the 20th of November 2021, and of course yesterday was the 19th, and yeah, around about 5 o'clock, I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna lay down for a little bit on the couch. And then I got extra comfortable on the couch. And then I went to sleep. And I woke up around 1 in the morning, went to the restroom, took a shower. And then I was like, oh, I'm going back to lay down. My body was just so tired. And sometimes during the full moon, I'll feel like this. I feel very drained. Like I need to rest, like my body just needs to regroup. And it doesn't need to do much. And I'm glad the night before I went through all of my full moon ritual and spirit bath and all of that. Because last night it wouldn't have been able to happen. And I still feel like I'm about to rest again after I finish this video. Because I still feel drained and tired, like I just want to rest. So I am going to go into the dream, which was certain parts are skipping in my mind, but it was interesting nonetheless. The first dream that I'm going to go over was the first dream I had before I got up to take the shower. And I changed the frequency of the tones I was listening to before I went to sleep. So the first dream, let's get it. So it felt like, and this is the first time I've had a dream like this, where it was like at the White House, but the time frame kind of felt like it was in like 1800s or something, like back when racism was at its height with slavery and everything. And I've never had a dream that where I was in slavery or I felt any ancestors in slavery. But this was the first one that came really close. And it wasn't slavery, but you could feel the energy of extreme racism. And it was being projected through those I was with. I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. So let me just get to it. So it's like we was at the White House. And I was a younger girl, but I was with what felt like the president. And it felt like Obama, but it wasn't Obama. It was a black president, but it wasn't. It felt like it was Obama, but then it wasn't Obama. It's weird because it felt like it was in the extreme past. But anyway, we'll get past. Time doesn't matter anyway. So it was like it was an inauguration or some source or some type of political initiation. And I had to walk beside him. And it was like I didn't want to do it, or I didn't feel comfortable doing it. I didn't want to do it, but I felt like I was his daughter. In the dream, it was like I was his daughter. And there was this lady that sat up higher, like we were walking down on the ground. It's this lady that it was almost like we saw her face, but it was a white lady, and I want to say British, or she wasn't American, but we had to go through her first before his initiation, before his inauguration, or whatever the case may be. And so phone ran out of space. Crazy. But anyway, I'll go back to because I believe I was going into the second dream. So I'm going to go back into the first dream. And so, it felt like Obama, but it wasn't Obama. And it felt like it may have been set in the 1800s or so. But it was like he was getting some type of initiated or either inauguration as president. It was some political and presidential, I know that. And one part, it felt like I was his daughter. But another part, it felt like they were just using us for something. They were using us and it wasn't right. And I was very upset about it. So we had to walk. We were walking down, and it was people in front of us, people behind us, and we were in pairs. And there was this lady that was announcing everything. And it wasn't her full body, it was just her face. That looked like her face was being projected, like it was a simulation from somewhere else. Kind of like a virtual reality situation that was going on. And she wasn't American. It kept popping in my head like British. And she was announcing who we were as we walked through, and I didn't want to do it. And it was like I was there, family was there, but I didn't want to do it. And once we walked through to the other side, and they announced me as his daughter and everything, and they was like, this is da 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 da. And I was like, whatever, I didn't want to be a part of it at all. And when I left out of there, it was some other Black people that were there, and they was like, you ought to be, happy. We don't always get this opportunity. You're going to be in the White House. Like, this is huge. You're going to be in the White House, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. They just using us. Like, it's not even real. They using us. So anyway, I leave there. I go to the restroom, and I'm looking in the mirror. And when I look in the mirror, now from what I could feel, I still look like myself. Like physical features. I've had dreams where I've been in other people's bodies and I did look like myself, but my physical features look like myself. My hair was different. My hair was not locked. It was natural, and it was hadn't been straightened. It was tightly curled, untucked. And I had 2 braids that came down here, small little braids that came down from like my ear and about to like right here, small braids. And then I had this gray scarf that was round but tucked up under like my hair that was out. And I remember taking the scarf, this gray scarf, off and just touching on my hair. And I remember walking out of the bathroom because I was very upset in the bathroom. Like, they're just using us. I was still going through that in my hair. I'm like, they don't care about us. And then I walked out, and everything after that is fuzzy when I walk out. And that's when I wake up. And of course, like I said before, I take a shower. And then I lay back down. But this time I put on the 528 hertz frequency tones, just like what I have planned now. Put this tone on before I went to sleep. And the dream starts off with me like at this retreat or this private party. Felt like a private party, a retreat or something, but my play brother was there, and he had been drinking a whole lot. He had been drinking so much that he had got sick, and it was like, that's the part that I just jumped in on. And he had been drinking, and I had my phone out tilted where I could record. I was like, I gotta show him this. Now, somebody in front of me, she was just all out recording like this, and I had my phone kind of tilted because I didn't want him to see that I was really recording him vomiting on it. And he threw up, and then he was trying to gather himself, and then he threw up again. It was a big chunk that came out, and it was somebody that was like right there next to it that was like laying down, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, did I get on you?" And he helped her up, and it was, everybody was laughing about it, and that's when I went over to him because I wanted him to know that I was recording him. So I showed him, I was like, this video, I said, I'm not going to share it online, but it is going to be something that we can laugh about later, and I'm going to send it to you. So I sent it to him. Then I go inside of this area they had inside. It may have been a house, I'm not quite sure. But it was people, it was like we go to this retreat like every year when we meet up, and it was like the ladies meet up together and the men meet up together. And one of the ladies, she came in, we was calling her Miss Brown. We was like, hey, Miss Brown, she was back. And she was like, And she was one of the ones that I remember from before that I had got into it with. And she was like, don't call me Miss Brown. And we was like, well, we forgot your name. What do you want us to call you? And she said, remember, my name is Kimrika. Now I'm like, who's going to remember that? But okay, Kimrika. But Kimrika, also, I knew her mother. So I stepped to the side and asked her, I was like, how's your mom doing? She has lupus. How's she doing? Blah, 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 blah. And we started talking, kind of like lighten the load. Another part of the dream, and I forgot I didn't go over this part, and because I slept for a long time, y'all. I have been asleep since 5 in the afternoon, and I'm just not waking up. I've been asleep. I think it's like 8 o'clock now, so I've been a lot of dreaming. But there was this part of the dream where I was at this castle, and it's this extremely wealthy man that I don't know, we didn't get to see, but he would take women and just fly them wherever, he wanted them to go and learn different things. And it was like, we were all like these little concubines. It's weird. And this new set of women, they were like older. They was in their, late 50s. He had flown these two women to France. So they came back and they was dressed all up and everything. And they were so excited. And they was like, we just came back from France and we were at the charade and they were speaking French. And they didn't know that all the ladies had that similar experience, and we had all been to France and we all could speak French, and he wanted all of us to speak the language. And so they started speaking in French and saying different things, and we all were there responding. And it was funny. But anyway, I'm going back to the other dream. So, of course, like I said, I wake up, I go back to sleep, I put on the 528 hertz frequency, and I'm now in Houston, Texas. And I have this apartment or something, a condo in Houston, in the dream. But my family is there from my mother's side. And before I go back to my condo, because they had already left to get there, I'm in the car and I'm driving with this Asian lady who turns out to be my assistant. So my phone rings and she answers it, and they was telling me to come pick up the check because they had contracted me to do some work. And it was off Holcomb Road, and this really is a street. East Holcomb is crazy. It's a street in Houston. I used to live there. And they wanted me to pick it up. And mind you, it was dark outside. And my assistant was like, no, She was just taking care of it. And I was like, yeah, we're going to pick up the check. She was like, no. She was telling them no, because we have a schedule and things should be done a certain way. And they didn't do it a certain way. which was, so we go back to the apartment and some of my family is there, and we're talking, I'm playing with the little children. Then the dream switches to where I'm in a van and we're in Hollywood. And I end up in Hollywood with some of my family, and then my significant other is in there. It's like this guy. And it was weird that he was in the dream. It was like a significant other or a companion or something of who he was. And we're driving down the street, and I can't recall who the driver was, but she said, let's go down to East Hollywood or wherever. And we were going that way through Hollywood, and it was a street we were coming up on. I was like, this looks like the area we were in when we went to the Mexican vegan restaurant. And that's when he said, yeah. He was like, he said, yeah. He said, it is a Mexican vegan restaurant over here, because he said, I looked it up. And I was like, what? You looked up some Mexican vegan? Because he wasn't vegan, but in a dream, of course, I am. And I am in, real life. But it was like he was. And I was like, oh, you looked it up? And so it was interesting because we were headed to Hollywood. And there was this little boy. I remember this little boy. It was like it was a couple of children there, but I really remember this little boy. And he was talking about his mother singing while they drive, and she really thinks she can sing. And then that's when I started singing, and I can't even remember the song I was singing. But I started singing this song and dancing and everything. And I said, yeah, she can sing when she's in the car driving by herself. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. And singing and dancing. And then I remember waking up. What I do want to state is that I have noticed in the last few dreams, these last few days, that there have been a lot of dancing. Even last night, my dream last night, I was dancing. And it was more of a salsa, it was a little bit of salsa, but a little bit of kind of like a formal dance too. I don't even know what you call it for formal dancing, but that was in the dream yesterday. So a lot of my dreams have had this dancing and music and singing in it. I'm not quite sure what that means. But yeah, that was the dreams. There was a lot of activity. A lot of activity last night. And I always try to pay attention of what's going on in the dreams during the full moon and the new moon, of that energy, especially with the partial lunar eclipse and, being partially dark and just dark energies that are out, and what is being projected in my mind, my subconscious, what my thoughts in my mind is actually resonating with and pulling out and seeing and feeling. So it's a lot of different dynamics to the dream. I just woke up, so I haven't had a chance to sit with it and kind of digest it and dissect it at all yet. So if you're someone that any parts of this dream, you kind of can interpret it, or it resonates with you on some type of level, whether it was, the one from the White House, the presidential political part, or the concubine part, or the Hollywood part, the Mexican restaurant, or my friend getting drunk, and then Kimrika, and her mom having lupus, so many different parts of the dream. And that's not even all the dreams I had last night, so I'm not even going to go into everything. But yeah, please feel free to leave a comment and tell me about it. And I'll leave you in peace, blessings, and enjoy your day with